So Ice Cube's contract with Black America. That's on everybody's mind. Everybody's talking about it. And shout out to my brother Jay Dizzle for really sparking the interest in it with me. And if you know him, man, go check out Black Eye Stand Radio. That's family right there. Now we don't have to agree with everything that anybody says at all times just because we share the same hue. Don't mean I gotta hate you. Don't mean I'm about to be slandering you or no shit like that. I just may not agree with you. And that's cool. And people won't agree with me. A lot of people don't agree with me. It is what it is. But the whole Ice Cube thing is, and matter of fact, before we get into it, let's talk about the contract itself. Okay? And in the contract, it's got 13 principles or 13 sections: representation, lending reform, federal funding, Federal Reserve, finance oversight, data and credit, prison reform, judicial reform, police reform act, FCC licensing, Confederate institutions, AJP program, and black responsibility. And if you go to contract with blackamerica.us, you can get basically the synopsis of the contract, as well as look at the full contract, which I believe is 22 pages in total. So, you know, I recommend that you at least read the synopsis if you're not going to read the whole 22 pages. At least read some of it. You feel me? But it's got some good things in there, and it's got some things that I don't really give a shit about. I don't really give a shit of just me personally, the whole Confederate flags and statues, bringing those down. I don't see a difference between the Confederate flag or a Confederate statue and a statue of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or any other individual who was okay with slavery. I don't. That's just my 2 cents. So that part for me, I don't really care about. In representation, it basically says it it will include affirmative action in schools, public and private, per student funding in states on an equal basis instead of paid by local property taxes, black representation on all government civil rights bodies, civil rights classes mandatory in elementary schools, gerrymandering reform, additional polling places in black and minority neighborhoods, and Juneteenth to become a federal holiday. Juneteenth being a federal holiday is dope. I'm with the affirmative action. However, like, the fact that he's allowing Trump to use this kind of diffuses that, because he basically signed an executive order eliminating as much of affirmative action as he possibly could through an executive order. You know, and that's the thing with me, is that I'm not opposed to working with Republicans for a greater good. I'm opposed to working with this particular Republican who has shown his duplicity, his neglect for people of color, or for black folks, his disdain for black folks, his encouragement of white supremacy, his promoting of white supremacy, his refusal to acknowledge that white supremacy even exists. I don't see how allowing him to use any part of this contract benefits black folks in any way, shape, fashion, or form, because we know he's only doing this shit until after the election, and he's going to go back to being the same extremely racist asshole that he was before, or that he is currently. The bank lending reform, I'm with that. You know, basically, they want to make sure that it's a minimum threshold of lending, of loans and credit to black folks that is consistent with the current population of black folks in this country, which is 13.4%. I'm with that. The problem with that is in the finance oversight section, it says that basically you allowing the white folks to control who the whole thing. You setting up and let me skip down the finance oversight. So you setting up a cabinet or a sub-cabinet post, which will be set up to overlook and report on black and minority lending. Okay, if you're gonna do that, It should be completely independent and completely run by black people. That should be a requirement. And not just, okay, the president gets to choose the black person that does that. This black person should be voted on by black folks. So we won't end up with Ben Carson running the finance oversight, or Herman Cain. Rest in peace to you, bruh. But a Herman Cain-esque, Candace, whatever her name is. We don't need those black folks running shit. The federal funding, it says to pass a law or a program providing every child with government-funded trust account at birth starting with $1,000 contribution. That sounds dope. Again, you letting them who have already demonstrated they don't give a shit about us create these funds and run these funds. It's the same thing with Social Security. How Social Security, we all pay into Social Security and expect to be able to get that money back when we need it. Well, they have ruined Social Security and turned it into an entitlement. Like the government is just giving us some money, which is completely not the case. Now, for the Federal Reserve, for qualified black Americans, see right there, I got a problem. If you're going to do this, stop separating black folks. I get where you're trying to go is that, you want to make sure that people have the means to pay it back. But we have all been adversely affected by white supremacy. Some more than others. So to separate that, to make that gap between the haves and the have-nots amongst our own people, I discourage completely. I agree with the allowing a one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. Why we all can't get that? And again, I don't have to agree with everything that he is saying. The fact that he put this together, sat down, took the time out of his life, and Ice Cube got a lot of money. He don't have to do this shit. So a gazillion other things he could be doing with his life. And he decided to do this. I'm down with that. I don't want people to take this as Jobs is just shitting on Ice Cube. I'm not shitting on Ice Cube. But he himself asked, hey, if you got any insight on this, add to it. Okay, well, I don't know if I have anything to add per se, but I have some critiques, and I have a right to have those critiques. And I'm not doing it with any malice. I do agree that black folks should be able to get a one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. And it also stipulates that they must allocate 13.4% of their investments, and that is the Fed to ensure banks and institutions it oversees comply with bank lending reform. Fed to adopt modern monetary theory with goal of full employment and avoidance of actual inflation. Federal and state pension funds control over $1 trillion. They must allocate 13.4% of their investments into black-owned enterprises and businesses, venture capital, and private equity funds that take money. Public entities must invest 13.4% of their total funds in black-owned businesses. All for that. All for that. What I would also like to see is where are the plans to create the black-owned businesses? That's what I'm not necessarily, and maybe I missed that. And if I did, please let me know. But where are the plans to encourage those of us that are economically at the absolute bottom to move up? Because so far what I'm seeing is, okay, it's almost a talented 10th proposal. Those black folks that are doing good for black folks, let's make them do better. I'm not really seeing, I'm not seeing much that helps all of us equitably. And that is my concern, is that we deserve equal rights. We deserve equal treatment. We have more than earned that. But let's not then create a system within a system that disproportionately benefits some black folks at the expense of other black folks. Let's see. Data and credit. Most states publicly release bulk data about arrestees unchecked. Like the 1970 Fair Credit Reporting Act regarding credit data, there must be guidelines regarding arrest records that allow similar privacy and accuracy corrections and the right to dispute and correct inaccurate data. Credit services will be reformed to mandate consideration of individual consumer data on rent, utility, cell phone, and other like bill payments. All for that. Agreed. And again, these are just a synopsis. I'm not reading the complete 22 pages, just a synopsis, okay? Again, if you want to read the complete 22 pages, you can go to contractwithblackamerica.us, and at the bottom of the page, it gives you a link to the complete thing. Prison reform. Privately run prisons will be abolished, prison labor disallowed without consent, and nonviolent offenders incarcerated for 10 years or longer will be freed if good behavior standards are met. Why? Why is there an if right there? You're a nonviolent offender put in a shark fucking tank. Let them folks go. All prisoners for marijuana possession freed. Why is there, it should not be a distinction. First offense for illegal drug use or possession to require government payment for entry into an approved drug rehabilitation program rather than imprisonment, which is already happening for white folks. Once any prisoner completes sentence, voting rights are restored. I have never understood the fact that they would take somebody's rights away from them once they have completed their obligation to society. When you have been punished, as society has dictated you be punished, and you are a free man, why should your record, and I would add this, your record should be expunged upon completion of your case? And completion means, okay, if you got sentenced to 10 years in prison, you did your 10 years, that should not have to prevent you from feeding your family for the rest of your life. You were on papers for 4 years. You're done with your papers. You did everything they said do, and you've completed that. That should not prevent you from feeding your family for the rest of your life. It's basically double jeopardy. Judicial reform. Eliminate mandatory minimums and 3-strike laws. The Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice reformed through stricter guidelines and greater oversight over police departments. The DOJ can be sued for non-compliance. Lynching to become a federal hate crime, and the Ku Klux Klan declared a terrorist organization. I think the Klan has already, a long time ago, taken steps to kind of insulate themselves from a lot of this bullshit, and the fact that a lot of them stopped wearing robes and started wearing uniforms and suits. It's dope. The DOJ can be sued for non-compliance. I like that. The stricter guidelines and greater oversight over police departments. Who's doing that? That should be a requirement that we are doing that. But in essence, I like that. It's got the Police Reform Act. And in there, it eliminates chokeholds and no-knock warrants. All for that. Residency requirements are a big thing for me personally. I think that you should have to live in the community that you are policing to eliminate you looking at that community as others. Creation of Office of Independent Prosecutors to solely focus on prosecuting police accused of wrongdoing. Not only that, but that should be run by black folks. And not only that, any harm that comes to anyone in that office, that works for that office, should be a hate crime automatically and should qualify for the death penalty if in fact it has led to a death. FCC licensing is pretty much broadcast networks will be required to air black produced content equal to 20% of the total content on the network as measured by time. Okay, that's a sticky one right there. Okay, like what type of content? BET used to be dope. BET is trash now. So who's making the content? You know, and when you say black produced, are you saying, okay, well, you get to decide who the actors are, or do you get to decide which shows actually come on? Like, does some white guy say, I want Jobs' show to come on, but I'm going to pick all the writers and all the actors, but it'll be a black produced show because, well, it was Jobs' idea. You know, that one, and I didn't get off, and I'm pretty sure they get off into that one a lot more in the actual contract and not just the synopsis. So I'll kind of defer to the actual one on that one and kind of ease back. The Confederate monuments and institutions, again, I don't give a shit. Like I don't. There is no difference for me for a Confederate general and a Union general. A Confederate soldier and a Union soldier, when they went back home, treated black people the same, generally speaking. The AJP program for education and jobs, public-private program that provides access to jobs and education and or training for people willing to put in the work and commitment. I'm all for that. And black responsibility. I don't think that black responsibility should be in this contract. I get it. I understand. Black folks been responsible for black folks since black folks were brought here, were stolen and brought here. Not saying that we can't do a better job, but I don't feel that we need to put any onus on us for this contract with the U.S. Now, if you want to have a contract that's strictly black folks amongst black folks, so matter of fact, if we want to agree on a code, when people say we need to stay on code all the time, I ask people all the time, what the hell is code? And 99.9% of the time, no one has ever given me a legitimate answer for being on code. They have a couple of examples, but nothing sustainable or nothing to this depth. And that's just my 2 cents. Again, I agree that black folks need to be responsible. We need to do a better job. I just don't believe this needs to be put in writing to give to white folks. Now, I'm not mad at this. I am not mad at the contract. It could be better, as I think I have pointed out from my standpoint. It could have a lot of things that were better, you know, but Ice Cube sat down and wrote this shit. I did not. So who am I to shit on the man for trying? You know, and I know I'm Johnny come lately. I'm a armchair quarterback, and I'm just critiquing. Well, I believe he kind of asked for that. You know, he did say, hey, if you have some ideas, let's bring them to the table. Well, those are my ideas. Now, for the Ice Cube getting canceled shit, I don't believe in throwing away black folks. I just don't. And especially somebody that has put in as much work over the years as Ice Cube. You can have a bad action and not be a bad actor. And I think this was just not a good action on his part. I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to put pressure on the Democrats to say, hey, look, y'all have taken advantage of us for decades, which they have. There is no disputing that at all. And if you dispute that, something is wrong with you and you need to research. However, in aligning yourself with this particular individual, and that is Donald Trump, you've set yourself up to be his own personal martyr. I don't even know if martyr is the right word. You've set yourself up to be used and abused. First thing they did was tweet and at you. Oh, Ice Cube is on board with what we doing. If Ice Cube says it's okay, the rest of y'all niggas must agree. Because they don't understand black folks, and they make no attempt to understand black folks because they don't care. You know this man does not give a shit, cannot be trusted, this is not honest, has not told the truth probably in his lifetime. I'm not saying that there are not some honest Republicans that for whatever reason believe in the Republican way, That's just their political ideology. But they have a moral compass. This individual, Donald J. Trump, has no moral compass. So it's not I'm condemning Ice Cube. I'm condemning this move by Ice Cube. And for me, it seems like it's feast or famine with people. You have to hate Ice Cube completely or love this whole thing completely as well as him. No, you don't. You can love Ice Cube and hate the fact he did this shit. Like, I'm not going to stop listening to the Death Certificate. I'm not going to stop watching Fridays. I'm not going to stop appreciating the contributions that he has made to our culture over decades. No. And it wouldn't prevent me from supporting the man tomorrow if he had another endeavor that I thought was dope. I don't support him allowing the Trump administration to use him. And there's no benefit. You know, some people, you know, like my brother Jay Dizzle. It's like, hey, he's doing something. You got to be able to speak to power. Okay. Y'all niggas like lynched Kanye West for meeting with Donald Trump. Like, wasn't me. Y'all niggas. Y'all went off on him for that. Why is Ice Cube any different? Not to say that, and hey, I know Kanye got some issues, and I know, you know, some people, oh, well, Kanye did a gazillion things. You may be right. But at the end of the day, bad actions. Ice Cube has got more social equity than Kanye. Ice Cube has been putting in work for longer than Kanye. So no, I don't think that he should be given the treatment to the extent that people did Kanye. But at the same time, his action should receive Kanye-esque treatment. Because I don't agree with it. I agree with speaking truth to power. I'm all for it. From a point of power. Not asking them, you know, we asking them, can you please put this in there? One of y'all, the Democrats or the Republicans. You know, I agree with Jay Dizzle when he said, hey, you know what? White folks should not be creating the black agenda. Black folks should create the black agenda and use our bully pulpit to make one party or the other abide by that black agenda. I agree with that. I don't agree with being used. Misused. And there's absolutely nothing in my being that says Donald Trump will actually follow through with some of this contract. If he wins, the contract will be in the trash. Please, 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 can somebody explain to me how I'm wrong? If you got any questions, you got any comments, please leave them at beneath this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My Skin is My Sin. Don't forget to check out the show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And check out emeraldshell.com. Very, very dope custom jewelry. And check out liberationmindedmedia.com. And go under the merch section. We got some nice merch in there. We got some of our podcasts in there, man. Let me know what you think, though. Should we cancel Ice Cube? Or should we just be concerned about this one action? And your thoughts and opinions on his contract with Black America. On that note, this is Jobs, and I'm out.